Okay, so.
We had trouble with the other one.
PowerPoint, so here we go. I can't do it without PowerPoint. We're gonna, talk about three things. We're gonna talk about frauds, scams, and thieves. Oh my. I have a really cool picture up there with the eyes. We're gonna talk about how to play defense with some of these. I think that's probably heard all my jokes, but, I always look out when I watch people and go, yeah, I don't think there's anybody here older than me. So it should apply. So, first of all, the movies are taking notice of this issue. Have you seen that? How many of you have seen The Beekeeper? Okay, if you're not into a lot of dead bodies, it's probably not the movie for you. But I pointed out because my boss, my former boss at the time, Administrator Julie Murray, this is also an important topic for her. She gave me the DVD and said, Gail, just watch the first 2 minutes. Okay. I ended up watching the whole thing. It's a Jason Statham action movie. Never seen one before. I lost track of the body count. As far as I can tell, they were all bad guys, so we're good. It starts with the premise of this elderly woman who goes through the classic, gets hacked, computer gets hacked. The bad guys get her to log into her account and she loses $2 million just right now. And you get to see the backside of this. You get to see her sitting in her computer and she gets that error message. Then she gets a login to her account. And the next thing you know, you look at the bad guys. Remember, I spent a lot of time in security. How many of you know what a boiler room is? Okay, it's like the best in town, today's version of a boiler room. You got walls of iPhone, you got walls of tablets, computers. There's 100 guys sitting in there with an MC and a tote board going, oh, there's another million. And so you're watching it drain out and go to the bad guys. Now, Jason Statham happens to be for tennis or something, and he gets really mad. And I mean, really mad, and goes off on a tangent. So that was the premise for the movie. And Felicia Rashad is the actress who opens up with it. And I hate, you may not see it, so I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. What happens to the character is not uncommon in this world. She commits suicide because she's lost the money. Part of it was a charity that she controlled. And so the money was gone. She didn't know what to do. And this is Jason's a 2-hour shoot 'em up kind of movie.
I don't know.
And then there's also the movie Thelma. I've not seen that. Is it good? Okay. Thelma is played by a 92-year-old actress, does her own stunts. She gets caught up in the grandparent thing, which we will talk about. From what I've heard, it's not realistic on how the money changes hands and how she gets it back, but it's a movie. Now, I will say I talked to somebody who said there's a sequel to The Beekeeper and it's bad. So if we see a sequel, don't watch that. So the point is the movies are starting to pay attention because the individual who wrote Thelma had his grandmother go through something similar. So that prompted the movie. So, okay, there are a number of ways that they can steal your money. So let's start with one that's most common, the romance scam. How does that start? That's right. And where does it start? Online. Right. Because you just met somebody, and I'm going to age myself. I used to talk and train credit union staff, and I would say, the member comes in, and they're really hurried because you know what they got to do? Boyfriends. Oh, really? What does this boyfriend look like? So they whip out their phone, and there's a picture, and it's Brad. And we all know it's not true. But what are they looking for? Friendship, companionship. And really, I just saw, okay, I'm a card-carrying member of AARP. And one of the most recent magazines came out where there's a slight twist on this. How many of you are old enough to remember the Nigerian letter? Oh, sure. When I first started, I was talking about the Nigerian letter, and I mean the kind that's mailed with a stamp. Oh, now we've all come this long way. So now there's a slight variation on the romance scam. It starts out with common interest. Like maybe you're on a Facebook garden page. So somebody who's going to reach out to you because they're also a fellow gardener. And how are your tomatoes doing this year? So they build that common bond. And then it's not so much romance. It's like, man, I'm in a tough spot and I can't make my rent. Can you like give me, like, can I get $300? Multiply that by the number of people that they're connected to through this Facebook page. So just a slight twist, but part of it is companionship. And I remember using a video a long time ago where I think it was an area agency on aging in Wisconsin. Actually went to prison and interviewed a telemarketer. And what he said then is still true today. Because I get somebody on the phone and I get a call. Like if I'm talking to a guy on the phone and he mentions that he's gonna run off to the VFW. Oh, sir, are you a veteran? Yeah, I am. He goes, so am I. I served in Vietnam when you served World War II. So what do they got right there? We've got the common bond. And then they're just off and running. That still happens today, still happens online. The grandparent scam. Anybody know anybody who got caught up in one? How much did they lose?
They lost 13,000.
For that 13,000.
950.
950. The grandparent scam, they're gonna pose as a relative, there's gonna be that immediate financial need. Jail, hospital, rent, something. I actually had a credit union staff member tell me within the last year that they had a member who received an AI generated call that sounded like their grandson. Welcome to the new world of scams, AI. Don't get me wrong, I think AI can do wonderful things. It can also do bad things. Because there's gonna be people out there who wanna use it for bad things. And I'll share a story that, my former boss used to talk about, that her mother, and before her mother passed away, where she had lectured her, Mom, be careful, don't get caught up in this. And then one day her mother confessed to her, Julie, I got a phone call. It was Christian, who is Julie's oldest son. And he said he was in trouble. She goes, no, I was walking to get my debit card and I stopped. Something made me stop. And she goes, Christian, what's your dog's name? Where do you think that call went? Click, nowhere. I've also had people tell me that they called like their son and said, where's your son at? Oh, he's sitting right here. You mean he's not on the phone because he's in jail in Mexico? No. There is nothing wrong with double checking. Or not answering, yes. Tech support. How many of you got the pop-up box? It's okay, I won't tell. How many clicked? I will tell. Are you willing to share?
Yeah, thankfully my daughter, recovering from surgery, my daughter was down in the basement working from my house and I got this pop-up that said, stop. You know, you look very official, you've been hacked. And I tried to close it and all that wouldn't work. It said Microsoft support and they had a 1-800 number, which wasn't your normal, usual kind of 1-800 number. So I called and this friendly gentleman who didn't really give me much identifying information said that if I would allow him to, you know, get inside my computer, which I did, that he could figure it out. Well, my daughter happens to walk upstairs at some point, but not before I had already was checking my bank account with at his suggestion while he was working on the computer. So when my daughter came up, she said, hang up, which I did, but he'd already gotten like into my bank account, didn't get anything. But we, of course, we had to change, you know, stop it and cancel all this and that. But I learned my lesson.
Thank you for sharing. That takes bravery. Yes. So what is it they're trying to instill in you? Fear. There's something wrong with your computer. We're also dependent. How many of you have ever gone like a day without paying on a computer or your phone?
No.
Oh, good. I can say I've gone without being on the computer, especially now that I'm retired. But I can't go without being on the phone. Okay, government impersonator. Anybody ever got one? You know, it's like, oh, did you realize that you didn't pay your taxes and you gotta pay us $900? Really, is the IRS gonna call you, particularly now? They're gonna threaten arrest, they're gonna threaten jail, they're gonna need the money now. And what's the piece of that gets you? Fear. They're making you scared, they're making you afraid. There's an article that I use when I train credit union staff, and it's written by a woman who's under 60, who lives in New York. She's a finance columnist for a magazine in New York. And she wrote an extensive article. I can't remember if it's the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post. That talks about what happened to her. She got a phone call at 12:30 in the afternoon. And it was Microsoft or a tech support going, hey, did you buy these 2 Apple computers for $1,600? No, I didn't. Well, let me transfer you over to the FBI agent who's working this case. Yeah, probably. And she admits right up front that she's the reasonable, logical person that everybody calls. Yet she got sucked into it. So she gets to the FBI agent. Goes, yeah, well, let me hook you up with the CIA agent. So then we go to the CIA agent who has a badge number, who has this, who has that. And then she texts her husband. He's like, oh, whoa. Don't tell your husband. Why not? He's gonna talk crap, right? You're under investigation for money laundering. You don't want to drag him in because then he's gonna get in trouble. Well, then she says something about calling a lawyer. Oh, whoa. Call a lawyer, we're all done here. We're gonna raid your house with your kids there, and your husband's there, and it's all over. So they need 50,000 in cash. So tomorrow morning, you're gonna have a new social security number, you're gonna have this and do that, we're gonna cut you a check. Now, she did have a moment of clarity. She goes, why can't I do it for 50,000? Right? Oh, no, it's dirty. Okay. So she brings a backpack in case she has to run. I mean, to bless her heart, she lays it all out, everything she did. And come 6 o'clock that night, she goes down and hands a box full of money to some guy in an SUV in front of her apartment building.
Oh my gosh.
And at 6:30, she tells the person this is a scam and hangs up. What time did they call? See if you're listening. What time did they call?
They call it 12:30.
They called at 12:30. She hung up at 6:30. That's what they do. They will keep you on the phone. There are some credit unions in the state who are using, and I spent my last 12 years in the credit union world, so that's why I use that as an example, where they have a laminated card that they'll slide to a member if they think they're on the phone, maybe in a purse. But they'll slide the card, and the card says, need help. There's actually been 1 or 2 where the person's nodding yes. They do. They're gonna keep you on the phone, keep you on the line. Oh, I have the blue screen of death.
Yeah.
All right. Sweepstakes lottery. Okay. How many of you have entered the PCH, Publishers Clearinghouse?
Mom.
How many of you won? You should play there. I got a call here 2 months ago. I think it was right before I met Chuck or right after. I won the Publishers Clearinghouse. I did. And it was also gonna give me like a new Mercedes, I think, too. All I had to do was call back. I recorded the message. I didn't call it back. I figured there's some karma, because who filed bankruptcy just within the last month? Publishers Clearinghouse. Pardon me, I have a little glee of that. I had the honor of suing them right before I left the Attorney General's office. Okay, you never have to pay your taxes when you win a lottery. But what's your first question when you're called and said you won? Did I enter? Used to happen a lot with the Canadian law. Did I enter? This is one that makes me sad. Family or caregiver. The majority of elder financial exploitation is done by a family member or a caregiver. I've seen more cases than I can count, where either a child, a grandchild, or a caregiver has taken money. And in one case out in Western Kansas, it was the caregiver was the daughter of a good friend of the victim. I've seen cases where the son and daughter-in-law steal from the mother, and they're listed in a will as beneficiaries. I suppose it's better than killing them to get right away, but they just abuse the power of attorney. And that's why you will hear me say frequently, there's a special place in prison and hell for people like this when they take advantage. There's a case in Southwest Kansas where the great-great-grandmother was left to die by the great-grandchild that was out of the basement with her boyfriend. Had an aneurysm. The stories I can tell. Seen situations where a woman came into the credit union and wanted to check on the size of the safe deposit box because a representative from the UN was going to deliver a suitcase full of cash to her. I kid you not. But first she had to wire $6,000 to Atlanta. The address was like Bank Branch in Atlanta. So she had come in with a check from a friend. So the credit union worker had loss prevention officers who talked to her for hours, finally got her to say, okay, I won't do it. Well, in that instance, that's where I would monitor the account. I could tell you what happened without even knowing, because I watched it happen. I'm sure she got a phone call that night. Hey, Mrs. Evans, we didn't get your $6,000. What's the deal? Well, the bank, because people get confused between credit and bank. The bank told, well, of course they told, they don't want you to get this. Here's what you need to do. So they gave her due. So here's what I saw happen. Retirement money came in. And then she just went to a different branch and pulled out $6,000 in cash. And I can only assume went to Western Union, Walmart, somewhere, and just watched it drip out and wire it out. I do give Walmart props because I read recently that they've developed a good system to track an elder person who comes in and buys a whole bunch of gift cards.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're told to do, buy gift cards. So I give kudos to that. By the way, in case I didn't say it, ask a question, raise your hand as we go along. I'm informal, sometimes I don't know to throw candy at people, but sorry, I don't have any today. Okay, so how to play defense. So I'm telling you all these horrible stories, and I can tell you war stories. But how do you play defense? First of all, here's a suggestion, a code word. Establish a code word, a family code word. Now, I do have a paranoid friend who will tell you not to set up the code word on the phone. Pardon
You're saying it.
me? Yeah, I get it. Yes, but yeah, that she said, don't talk on the phone and set up a code word. Set up a code word, very similar to Julie's mother who said, what's your dog's name? Something that's not common. And I know that the majority look at the age of all of us. We were raised to be polite, weren't we? Okay, except for the lady in the front row over here. No. We were raised to be polite. Let me tell you, if you get one of these phone calls, hang up. It's okay. Because what are they gonna do? call you back and you just don't answer. Best thing ever, caller ID. I still have a landline. And if I don't recognize the name, or if it's on my cell phone and you're not programmed in, I'm not talking to you. I've got calls from India. Might be curious, but no.
A lady friend of ours, Kansas Turnpike, sent her a text and it just scared her to death. So it took 3 or 4 of us telling her it's a scam, don't do anything. So they threatened to send the sheriff. And everyone.
I got that on my work phone. My state issued work phone, got the, K tag. I got one recently, I took a screenshot where something about my Coinbase password. Okay, I don't know crypto. I don't know. But yeah, I've gotten one that like was offering me a job or something. No. Yes, sir.
This one arrived on my phone 20 minutes ago.
I've gotten this one too. It says, hello, long time no contact. I was so busy, I'm sorry. I thought of you recently. How are you? Is everything going well in your life? I got one that said, your number's in my contacts. Who are you?
Are those like what you just read? If you get one of those and you click on it, does that give, or only if you follow up?
Yeah, if you follow up, because what I do is sometimes I don't even open it. It's the delete and report junk.
Yeah.
I get such that. Lots and, sometimes I don't even do that. I'll just delete it and report them. So I do on phone calls. I'll block a phone call.
I was helping an elderly lady that, she was over 90. And she was getting scammed from someplace in Jamaica. And she had step by step written down what she was supposed to do. Drive to Dillon's, get a money order, drive back
Yes.
home,
What's that?
put it in an envelope and wait for that gentleman to
Yeah,
show her.
We are, but
And
I don't know.
she was
We're
going to be
almost done
getting,
now.
jewelry.
Sorry about that.
all right.
Yeah,
And they called the house twice, I think, when I found out about it. And the second time I said, sorry, folks, your golden goose is
What?
nice
not
job.
gonna be available anymore.
Nice job. I might just never have. Huh.
Did
Really
you just
good.
log on?
But I want to delete it. I want it out on my phone quickly before it. does it.
Did you see
Yes.
the
But
big
how-
that things pop up
I
there?
listened to a great documentary and it was about the whole family.
Do I should read that?
The
Well, there was some
Philippines,
little leaves.
you
that
know,
come out.
not able to get good work and they were supposed to go to Thailand, but they took them over into the next country. And they are beat, they are not fed, they are not paid, and they are stuck there and there is no government looking at that or helping those people out. So yes, they're on that, I mean, it sounds horrible, but they're in horrible situation too, some of them. You know, the girl, she was oldest in the family and she finally got her siblings out, but she can never go home. There is a price on her head.
Yes,
And so she can never go back to the Philippines.
correct. Yes. That's almost like jumping ahead. So I was just rolling around in my head. Because what you're taught, how many of you are familiar with the term pig butchering? Pig butchering. That's like I've talked about individuals. Like there was a gentleman who got into a Facebook conversation with an Asian woman who lived in New York. And would you ask somebody to marry you that you've never met? So anyway, she needed some money so she could come live with him and they get married and all would be great and wonderful. But first, there's always a but. She had some money that her aunt was holding, and he was gonna have to buy crypto so that she could get the money to come be with him, and they would get married, and the heavens would open and angels would sing. He cashed out all of his retirement. He lost it all. And he was actually looking to get a loan to pay her more when he got a phone call from an FBI agent. And, yeah, what they call it pig butchering. It's a rather inartful term because you're basically a hog being led to slaughter. Because they're, they build the interest, they build love, they send you a picture of God knows who, and they them. And you're being led, and all of a sudden, they get to that point, like this guy did. Okay, but first. But wait, there's always something else. And so it's called pig butchering. And there's been a couple of articles recently where you are correct. It's likely the individual who's cultivating the relationship, first of all, it ain't granted, is sitting in Thailand in a warehouse with 500 people in deplorable conditions. And they must do it or their family is going to get killed, beaten, or whatever. Podcasts. I just found one. Only listened to part. The podcaster is a woman named Erin West, and she is the founder of Shamrock. And her mission in life is to uncover this. And I just saw on LinkedIn this morning, still looking on LinkedIn, find more, but somebody was sharing a post from the Gander International Airport. Jenny, is that Nova Scotia? Canada. Yeah, Canada. Where now they're seeing older individuals come to the airport dressed. I can say this because I'm an older people. How do women dress when they're going like to town? Yeah, nice dress. Nice dress, hose, hat, gloves, all that. They're seeing women like that come to the airport expecting somebody to arrive. And it's sad because you don't know how much money they've lost already. Another story I had read where a woman who was in her late 40s had been a backup singer for some well-known artists. Her husband had passed away. She met a guy on Facebook who, strangely enough, looked a lot like her late husband. Corresponded a lot. He was coming from Australia. He had more stories that I could make up. Like he tried to come, but he got stopped by security, and then he got attacked by this, and everything delayed. And finally, he's supposed to arrive in Las Vegas. She decided she'd spend one more bit of money to pay for a ticket to Las Vegas from wherever he's at, Australia. So she actually goes to the Las Vegas airport, waiting, and she gets a text from him. Hey, been caught up in TSA. So what does she do? She trots over to TSA. He's not there. Millions of dollars down the drain. So they're going to take advantage. Like I said, it's a good place for these people. So don't be afraid to tell someone. Please don't be afraid to tell someone. Because you may think you're the only one. This nice lady here was brave enough to talk. I'll bet there's somebody else in this room. Don't be afraid to tell someone, anyone. We used to, how many of your members of credit unions? I think you're talking about credit. Credit unions know their members, right? I'm not out of range. Good. They know their members. And if you have a faithful member who has a teller they always go to, who are they going to tell? That teller. You may have 5 people in line, but that person's going to come up to you because they trust you. They've built that trust. Now, granted, we have to talk about the weather, flowers, the Chiefs. Oh, Lord, don't get me started. And then we're going to come around to where they're going to lean in, they're going to go, can I tell you something? And that's what they're going to tell someone. Because I don't know how many people I've talked to who think they're the only one. You are not. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So please tell someone. If you had an issue, go to your financial institution, Get some blocks on the accounts, change the password, do something. Proceed with caution. I decided, I had a couple of things pop up my phone, and I decided what it was. It's because when you get to scrolling, I won't tell you which one new site does, it's because they'll stick ads in there. As I'm scrolling, my finger might hit an ad. And something weird opens, and I close it, like, oh no. So now I'm more careful. Not scrolling. So proceed with caution, you get that pop. Turn it off. Something else, if you think your computer's been infected, don't just turn it off, unplug it. Unplug it from the internet, unplug it from the electricity, unplug it. So that there's no further damage done.
Have you seen much with the helplines? Like my father-in-law, he just moved into a different place, and so he couldn't get his Siri or his Alexa to work. And so he was trying to get on his laptop to it, because it said you had to download the app or something, trying. Anyway, I came in, and while I was there, he was on the phone with somebody, and I said, what did they ask you? And he handed me the phone, and it was this lady said, well, can you go to this website? And it didn't make sense. And so I started to go to it, and I said, wait a minute, what does this website do? And she said, well, I can get in the computer and fix it for you then. And I said, no, you're a scam, and I just hung up. And I told him, don't ever go to click on those ever again.
That's what we refer to in the biz as a red flag. Don't, you think your phone's listening? Alexa is listening. I do not have one, I won't have one. And I have,
This popped up from him looking for something else on his computer. It popped up, so he called that number. It was a helpline.
it's not so much the helpline that's the problem, it's the fake websites. Because, amacen.com. Is that the right? No. Question?
One of the things that, and I've got caught a couple of times on this, when I'm looking for something like, for instance, recently I had rented a car, I had reserved a car. And I wanted to double check, and so I got on the computer and I just typed in the name of the car company and didn't really look, and I went to the first one that came up. And the guy started telling me he was going, I had to give him my credit card number and everything, and I knew right away, oh my God, and I looked and I had the wrong one. So that happens a lot. You may be looking for Hertz rental car, but that may be about 4 or 5 down on the contacts that you get on your computer.
Yeah, you can pay Google to be at the top of the list, and I'm pretty sure that guy would pay to be at the top of the list.
I'm wondering about the more mundane, everyday, which seem to be scams, the email. I get flooded with emails like, pretending to be the post office. We cannot deliver this because your information is not complete. Or your order is on the way from whatever, Best
USP.
Buy, Harbor Freight. They pose as every retailer under the sun. It's on the way. Or it's just there's dozens of variations on, if you did not make this order, click on this.
PayPal. Right.
Is there any way to kind of screen these out?
Well, here's how I do it, although I have email through AT&T. And if I roll over the sender, it may say it's from, let's see, it may say that it's from the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. But if I roll over, I'm going to see the email address, and it's gonna be 562478JWZ@RU. So that's a way to tell, is to look at the address that it's coming from. Because it may be slightly off, like I said, Amazon could be AMAZEN, and if you're in a hurry and you're just clicking on it, you're in trouble. Yes, sir.
This has been very helpful in recognizing scams, but when I surveyed the senior community where I live, half of the residents there said email scams, phone scams. how can we prevent them? Or is it a situation like a rainy day where we just have to endure it and count on it being sunny tomorrow?
Yeah, I can always tell when my stuff's been sold. Now I have, that is not endorsement, I'm LifeLock. I can tell when my stuff's been sold because I get a rash of junk emails. I'm like, oh, somebody bought my stuff. Or I'll get phone calls or text messages and then it'll calm down. At this point, I think it's so pervasive, I'm not sure how you stop it. Ask me at the end what I might offer as a suggestion. Don't jump ahead. Research, use an independent source. Like if you get something with a helpline on it, don't use that. Go actually type in the real website. Call your friend and go, hey, can you log into your computer and tell me, what this says? Because if there's a way to get you, they will. And I know from experience that once you're hooked and you're in, they're gonna come until the piggy bank's dry. I mean, today it's I can't pay my rent, tomorrow my car broke down. And you multiply that by the 100 people that they're friends with on this Facebook garden group. And that's pretty, I could kick back and do this retirement thing. I don't think I could do that. Okay, next slide, please. Trusted contacts. Has anybody heard about that? On the back. Trusted contact. I first saw from the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and then also the NCUA, which is the National Credit Union Administration, has talked about it. There are some credit unions in the state who are doing it, or at least offering it to their members. I haven't, like I said, I haven't been in the bank world for 400 words or credit union, to know how many banks are doing it. It's just giving your financial institution, and of course there's a sign, you have to sign. Authority to call a friend, it's like phone a friend. This individual has zero access to your accounts, none, zippo. It's just somebody that it could be a coffee buddy. And I may say, Mary is my coffee buddy. So I come in one day and I'm withdrawing like my entire bank account, I want it in cash and I want a check made out to, I don't know, the Joker or the Penguin. And then my financial institution could call Mary and go, Gail came in here with this weird request, is she okay? So Mary doesn't know the specifics, but she can say, I can check or I'll talk to her later. Coffee buddy, card buddy, garden, somebody that you trust that will see you on enough regular basis that you can do, that they can check with you and see. So like I said, they don't have access to your personal information, your first PII, your personal identifying information, accounts, none. Yes.
One of the things that we push to the seniors in our area a lot, even numbers that you recognize, because they have access to every number because they're computer generated. And like Leroy just said, probably some of you have been called by yourself. So in other words, don't trust the fact that it's a Beloit number or whatever. Especially with Silverhair, I get quote calls from all over the state of Kansas. What we stress to people is your best friend is your, not caller ID, but your message at the end of the phone call. If somebody calls you and you just don't answer and it goes to message, if it's a legitimate friend, a legitimate person, they will leave a message and then you can call them back if you recognize. And even then, if it's not one you recognize, don't call them. But you got to remember, these folks are unbelievably skilled with verbal message. They are unbelievably skilled. If they can get you to answer, the chances of them getting into your pocketbook just skyrocket. And so if you just don't answer, My sister lost $30,000 because of the one that popped up alert, you know? 3 days later, she's out $30,000. Then they called us and she hadn't said 5 words. And we said, Lana, that's a scam. We thought that, you know, that was ahead of time. For all no, she'd already lost the money. So don't get them on the phone. If they are legitimate, they will leave a message. And if they, most of the time they don't, and the ones that do leave messages now, it's a joke message. It's laughing like a horse or something.
Yeah, I did win the published clearinghouse. Okay, so. Okay, just earlier this year, AARP came out with a new campaign. Pause, reflect, protect. So you get one of those phone calls, take a moment to pause. Do I really know this? Did I really enter this lottery? Do I know this person? Reflect on it and then protect by not doing it. So I thought that was a really good message to get out there. AARP has one good anti-fraud stuff. Trust but verify. That's how I live my life. Trust but verify. Because there's so much new stuff out there. How many of you have used a QR code? How many of you know what a QR code is? Let's start there. How many have used what? Oh, those are the new horizon. Because let's say that, you know, you decide you're gonna ride the bus. And what's at the bus stop? A bench. What's on the bench? An ad. And a QR code. How do you know that that QR code was put there by the advertiser?
Yeah.
How do you know that a QR, they didn't plaster over it? I got a letter in the mail. I knew it was a problem when I looked at it because it was addressed to my name or my father's name. My father's been gone for 18 years. Now, you can do free people search and find out almost everything about me. It doesn't say they're dead, but it's gives my parents' names. And I open it up and it's from a religious organization, not one of which I have a member. And contained within it is a little card. And the only thing on the card is a QR code. And I went, yeah, no. I've seen them on tables in restaurants. But if you notice, when you put your camera hovers over a QR code, it'll tell you where you're going. So you might take a look at that. But those are the new horizon, right behind artificial intelligence. You know, I talked earlier, I think artificial intelligence can do great things. Probably ought not cheat on your next college exam with it. But it can, it's great in the world of financial institutions for looking for fraud and transactions, so forth and so on. But as with all things, the bad guys, rather than getting a good job that pays money, they want to do bad things. So they're using AI to generate voices. How many of you put a video with sound on social media? How many of you don't want to admit? If you put a video on social media with your voice, what have you just done? They can take that snippet and develop a whole conversation. Remember, I've already heard from a credit union that they had a member receive an AI generated phone call that sounded like her grandson. Say it with me, prison and hell. Okay. All right, so I guess it makes sense. So what to do? You were asking whether or not we just wait out the rain. I'm not sure we can because it is global. It is international. And I mean, I've been breached so many times I've lost track. AT&T, MG, I'm still waiting my $5, by the way, from AT&T. MGM. I mean, it's been a long laundry list. Speaking of Ronald Reagan, 6 years ago, I was in the Ronald Reagan Library and I broke my ankle. And so I went to a local hospital. Now, this was a gift that keeps on giving, because about 6 months later, I got a notice from the hospital that said, guess what? We've been breached. So I spend the money, I mean, whatever choice you do, I spend the money to do Norton and Lifelock, because everything is out there and it's hurting. Here are some suggestions that I have just globally, stop it, I'm sorry. If I had the answer to that, I would not have been a state employee for 22 years. I think first of all, we have to change the narrative. Because I had, one of my last speeches, I had a woman come up to me, broke my heart. Because she said she lost $90,000 out of 120 that she had. Helping her grandson, who she thought was in a foreign mess overseas. The money all went overseas. Now, she did go to law enforcement, and I highly recommend you go to law enforcement. Because you may only have one piece, but somebody else might have the other piece. And by the time it funnels to law enforcement, through a suspicious activity report, you may be able to put something together. So she's telling me this. I said, wow. And she goes, I was so stupid. No, we need to change the narrative. I said, you're not stupid, you're a victim. And I know there's worry, because if you're independent and something happens, you don't want to tell your family, because you don't want that independence taken away from you. But you're victims, and what is happening to you is a crime. It's not just something, oh man, I fell for a scam. You're a victim of a criminal, it's a crime. Remember nothing else about this. The second thing is education. Education of like this, education with financial institutions, education with law enforcement. I know from experience that some of the small county attorneys and local district attorneys don't have the staff at the time. But I also know that they've told people that there's no reason to file a complaint. No reason to file a report. That we can't find. But it's a small piece of the puzzle. It'll make you feel better that you've done something proactive. And then the third thing is something that I can provide education. And this is something I will continue to do in retirement because I'm that passionate about it. But also back to the law enforcement resources. This is a global epidemic in the billions of dollars every year lost. They don't have the staff. Probably you're gonna find that nothing against small cities, small towns, small counties. They don't have the staff to track it down. There's also the Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is operated by the FBI. Financial institutions will file suspicious activity reports, which they give as much information as they have. And then law enforcement does look at those, and you can put it together to find a prosecution.
Is it this?
Wow, that's a lot. I could have talked for another hour because I've got all kinds of stories to tell you about what's happening to people. So, questions? More questions, gripes, bitches.
I just had, I work for our local government, and so, I don't know, a few years ago, they were hacked and they had to shut us down. Now we have this super cybersecurity team that works diligently. But nowadays, they send us tidbits every week. Today happened to be one of those tidbit days in our emails. And so I just was gonna share that one tidbit. When you mentioned the QR code, and if you put it up, and of course you can see the website that you're going to, it's the same when you're in emails and you see those links. If you just hover your mouse over the link without clicking it, you can definitely see the email where the web address where you would be going. And a lot of them are very noticeable if you would just read before it goes, dots where they don't misspell words and dashes and.
Yes, that's like the dead giveaway, because I'll get an email from Lowe's, capital L, dash, capital O, little W, Really, is that the Lowe's marketing department these days?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Why would that not be put on our website? Anything you can provide, they put on our website, we really appreciate
The
it.
PowerPoint,
Okay,
go on there, I'm trying to think of who might have some good broad stuff.
Does it help to get LifeLock and all those, it does help though?
I haven't lost any money yet. It's people, Gordon, I think has taught some stuff as far as viruses go. LifeLock is if I do lose money through having my identity, stolen, haven't had to use it yet. For me, it's peace of mind. I mean, I'm very careful. I think I sent some emails from the federal government to the spam when I worked for this. It's like, this looks so bad, so I'm uber careful. But for me, it's just peace of mind.
My father-in-law has 3. And I keep trying to tell him, one should be enough.
One would be enough, yes,
well,
yes.
thanks again, I appreciate it. We're gonna take 10 minutes, but before we do that, Paula gets 15 seconds.
Thank you. I wanted to tell you that, we're doing really well on the 50/50 pot. We have $390 in there right now. Our goal was to get $400, so now we're gonna raise the goal to 500. If you win, you're gonna get $250 to take home tomorrow night at the banquet. Do any of you still have silent auction items? We have 125 items in the holding room. Does anyone else have a silent auction item? Good. Are any of you who have not told me bringing a lawmaker to the banquet tomorrow night? Please hold your hand up and I'll come talk to you. Okay, I have everybody down. Was that 15
Okay,
seconds?
we'll take 10 minutes. And then I'll give.
And just quickly, oh, I'm sorry, and just quickly, at 3 o'clock, we're gonna have one of your favorite subjects. It will be about property tax. So be back here about 3 o'clock, we'll get started.
Did you get it?
Yes.